What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Comically Boston. Today is episode 68. It is June 5th, 2023. Another beautiful Monday. Last night, I went and saw Across the Spider-Verse. So today, we are going to be breaking down and reacting and reviewing Across the Spider-Verse. Ooh, this is the second installment for Miles in this beautiful animated universe. If you haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse, I'm warning you now, spoilers. Go watch those movies and come back. Into the Spider-Verse is probably... I was talking about it last night with my buddies Danny Hines and Ryan Barnard. I went to the movie to see it with them. And Barnard hadn't seen the first one, but he wanted to see the second one. So I gave him like a Cliff Notes version 30 minutes before we left. Fast forward in some scenes. But I really love the first one so much. But is it better than Spider-Man No Way Home? To me, they're right up there. They're both 5-star movies, and they're right next to each other. But, I don't know. Maybe my top 3 right now goes Across the Spider-Verse at number 1, Into the Spider-Verse number 2, No Way Home number 3. But then Danny also said a great idea, but also very true, that just that first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, with Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin... There's just so many lines in that movie that I love. That's the one I grew up on. Obviously, it was the first one I seen, and Tobey was my Spider-Man. Like, he's the OG. But Tobey Maguire, man. That first Spider-Man, oh, the itsy bitsy spider came out the water's spout. Down came the rain. He's fucking shooting. It's so many great lines. You, me, MJ, and I, we're gonna have a hell of a time. You know, like, some of the Willem Dafoe lines are so precious. Like, and I love that he actually came back as an older man and still played Green Goblin. Like, he's just a badass actor. He's in a movie called Inside on one of the streaming apps that I've been thinking about watching. It just looks so creepy, but also like Willem Dafoe. So, I don't know, you might have to watch it. But I love how Across the Spider-Verse starts out. It starts out with Gwen doing a crazy drum solo. You know how the last movie starts out with, you know, the first Peter Parker. Like, this movie did so many things right. Like, it did everything that Into the Spider-Verse did right, but differently, but better, right? Like, so I always say this, like, when you make a really good first movie, everyone wants a sequel, but what do you need to do in the sequel? You can't make the same movie again, even though that's what people want. People want more of what they saw, but that's what they think they want. They don't want to go and watch the same movie that they just seen over again. They can just rewatch the first one to do that. What they want is all the things that they loved from the first one in a new way and expanded on. And what they did in this one, just blowing the multiverse open, traveling to different multiverses, expanding their team, if you would, of character of Spider people. Like the first one, it was Miles, Gwen, Peter A dying, Peter B, you know, coming in and being his new mentor. You had Peter Porker, you had Penny Parker, the robot one, you had Spider-Man Noir, you know, and then you had Prowler, Kingpin, those people. So this one doesn't have Kingpin, but this one has Prowlers. This one has a lot of people, you know, like just so much shit. But right now, the movie's on Rotten Tomatoes, 95% meter. 95% it's at with critics. Audience score 97%. So critics are loving it and the audience is loving it. I'm giving it a 5-star. My Letterboxd review. Across the Spider-Verse gets an A cinema score, so it's just been, you know, crushing it. Absolutely crushing it. But I love how, like, Miles is, you know, not necessarily the main character in this one. It's kind of his story, but told through Gwen's eyes. And that's really because of how this movie ends. And some people really were hating that the beginning of this movie, like the whole first act, is kind of slowed down. But I think that's the beauty of it. Like, if you just take that stuff out and speed this movie up and just, like, have 24/7 action going through this thing, I don't think it works as well as when it slows it down, right? Because you see him go from fighting the Spot to, you know, tying him up, having to get to school, and then he has a conversation with his guidance counselor and his mom and dad. He gets yelled at, he gets in trouble, then he runs again, goes back to fight the Spot. So you see how he's juggling family life, school life, in Spider-Man life, and he's not really doing the best job of it. You know, they're all like, he's lying about something, his grades are slipping, blah blah blah, but he's trying to save the world still. He's still trying to be the one and only Spider-Man, and he's been at it for like the last year doing this. So yeah, we don't see a year of him being Spider-Man, but you understand what his day-to-day's been like, dealing with school and shit. So I really like all that stuff. But you know, going through, at first you see Gwen's universe, and it's like this watercolor paint, like, oh, it's so good. You get like her relationship with her dad and her relationship with her Peter. Like, you see what happened to her. Like, Miles loses his uncle. She loses her best friend Peter because he turns into the lizard, and she like kills the lizard, and then he shrinks back down to Peter, and she's like, oh no, I didn't know it was you. Like, dark origin stories for two of my favorite characters being Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales. I really hope they end up together. But Gwen ends up, you know, messing up and going into a different multiverse because her dad was about to arrest her because he's trying to be a good cop, and he was hunting down Spider-Woman, not knowing that it was his daughter. You know, so he's in a tough situation. I don't necessarily agree with him, and I would have sided with my daughter. But I understand she's a vigilante and you're a cop, so it's a tough situation. But she goes into another multiverse, and then we see her fighting Adrian Toomes, or I think it's like Adriano Toome, because he's like from Leonardo da Vinci era, and he's like, the art design of these characters and just everything about this movie. All the worlds look great. All the characters look so unique, and like how they chose to do things, like having him, they were fought in like an art museum, so he's from Renaissance times, so he thinks all this brand new modern art is shit, which compared to that old stuff it pretty much is. But hey, I'm an art guy. I like modern art as well. But I'm from modern times, you know, so if I was from Leonardo da Vinci era, I might hate it too. Like, but you meet Jessica Drew, voiced by Issa Rae, and she's pregnant, riding a motorcycle. She's got a big-ass afro. She's badass. And then you meet Miguel O'Hara. Miguel O'Hara is voiced by Oscar Isaac, and he's Spider-Man 2099, the one that has the universe jumping powers, and the one that figured this stuff out. But he's also like a vampire. He's like dark. He's kind of like, I really kind of fuck with him a lot. Like, he's kind of like spooky, but kind of like bad freaking ass. Like, every time you see him, you're like, damn, son, really? Like, whoa, like, I can't believe that. Like, this boy really doing that? Okay, I see you. Like, but so then, you know, we get the Spot's like origin story, though. Spot like is the guy that got hit in the head in the first movie with the bagel, you know, and it shows up bagel. Like, so it's just funny that they make that guy the bagel, the guy that gets hit in the bagel. You know, the guy that apparently brought the spider from Earth 42 to Miles' universe and bit Miles, you know. So this whole story, like how Miles is not supposed to be Spider-Man, but I think he really is. Like, you know, nothing happens for no reason. You know, it doesn't just like, oops, a multiverse mistake, and this dude became Spider-Man. Like, I think he was meant to become Spider-Man, whether it was in Earth 42 with, you know, we'll talk about that in a little bit, or if it was, you know, the one that got the powers. I think Miles is an anomaly, and I think the anomalies are key, but we'll talk about that more in a sec. But Spot's origin story, and just how he looks, like, just the white with the black spots, and then, you know, you can see the inverse where he's all black with the white spot. Oh man, like at first he's like just this goofy character, and he's honestly hilarious. Like, he's more funny than you would think. He's funny, but he also is like got this weird origin where like he's like, me and you made me, Miles, and Miles is like, how the hell did I make you? What are you talking about? You're high. Like, and he's just such a funny character, but unique because you don't really see his face, and we don't really ever see him as you know, the first movie, unless you remember the first movie. But even then, in the first movie, he wasn't a big character. He was the guy that got hit in the head with the bagel as they flee, you know. So it's like, it's just funny how they really think about it. But as I was saying earlier, I really love how, you know, Miles' relationship with his parents stuff. A lot of people said that slowed down the movie, but I think you need moments to slow down when you're laughing and just watching all this crazy stuff quickly go by. And, you know, it's also very important dialogue scenes, you building the characters. Like, the reason why this multiverse story, I think, works so well is because we get we get details about each character and the universes they're from. And even though they're all together in one universe, you feel for them and you actually care about the universes they're from. And you're like, okay, I kind of want to know more. Like, even Miguel O'Hara, he apparently, in the universe he's from and why he ends up being this multiverse jumping, saving guy, in the web of life and destiny and figuring that whole shit out, like, his whole story to me is very interesting. I wonder even if the next movie, because this one started, or the first one started, you know, as Miles' true story, then this one was Gwen's story of Miles, right? So it's Miles' story, but it's from, like, Gwen's point of view, really. At the beginning, you know, because it starts through her drumming and it's her point of view. And really, like, this whole story, like, the whole movie is really, you know, the beginning, it starts with Gwen, and then it's Miles' story, and then at the end, it ends with Gwen. And it's really, like, the whole beginning is just, the whole movie's a pitch to her new band about what we're going to go do in the third movie. And I honestly can't say more good things about this movie. There's just so many details. I need to watch this movie 5 more times just to see all of it. Like, it's really insane. But, like, Mumbattan, the Indian place they go, with Dopender voicing their Indian Peter Parker. I think it's like Pieter Padakar. Comment below if I was close. Didn't sound too bad. But you can see how, like, the Spot's powers work, though, in this image here. The Spot, like, is crazy. You can see Indian Spider-Man off there to the left with the exclamation point, like, what is going on here? And Gwen's about to kick the Spot. Spot throws out a portal. The portal ends up, Gwen's leg is kicking Miles in the face, right? So you can see the dilemma on how this Spot guy could be a problem. You can't get close to him, and if you do get close to him, you punch one of his holes, and then it goes and kicks somebody else in another area, you know? You're like, oh, shit. So it's hard to fight him. But I thought Mumbattan looked great, you know, like in his whole part where he's like, chai tea? Chai means tea. You're saying tea, dude. You know, like, and he had one other line right after that. He said another something 2 in a row and then something else 2 in a row. And it got a huge laugh in the theater. I wish I remembered it. Like, there was so many little moments in this movie that got huge laughs. But they're just, like, quick little throwaway things that really don't mean anything to the story. Like, Miles is getting the cakes for his father's party. He's riding the train back, and it's, you know, a big-ass armadillo stops the train, and he walks up, zaps it, kicks it, and just gets back on the train. And he's like, you can see his face, he's like, oh, God, another one, poof, pink. You know, like, he's about to get in a cab, and a guy steals pizzas or whatever, and he has to fucking web him and then, like, tie him up and write a note, and then the cab drives away, and he's like, no, my cakes! You know, he's always trying to run after the cab to get the fucking cakes. Like, there's just so many little things in this movie that made me laugh so hard. Oh, or, like, when Gwen and Miles are swinging along, and Miles lands on the train and looks, and there's just a kid, like, licking the window, and you're like, yeah, because we all know as adults how dirty trains are, like, ugh. And this little kid's just happy as can be, just licking the goddamn fucking window. Like, there's so many little things. Like, honestly, this movie's so beautiful, though. Like, all the visuals, everything, like, in all the quick little frames that, like, you can see, even if it's quick, like, you notice. Like, there was one little part where Miles is getting chased by everybody after breaking out because he took Hobie's advice. We'll talk about Hobie Brown in 1 second, too. Spider-Punk. Oof. But at one point, he's getting chased, and you can see Miles is getting chased. He smacks the bag man there in the bottom left, and then there's a couple other Spider-Men after him. But if you look right in the middle there, there's like this red little object with like a little thing coming out the bottom, and if you zoom in, he's getting chased down by the Spider-Man popsicle. A Spider-Man popsicle's a Spider-Man variant, Like, that's too funny, dude. Like, you gotta be kidding me. The little things that they threw in there, like, and I bet 90% of the people didn't see the little popsicle. I thought I seen them, and then Twitter confirmed it, you know? Like, it's just so many little details, but this is how this looks. Like, Miles jumping away, he's getting chased by Miguel. He's got all these Spider-Men in the back. You got crazy stuff happening up over in the right top corner. You got, like, the Spider-Man PS4 video game with the white logo, and then, like, I don't even know what that is, a cannon, a girl with Iron Spider arms, like, oh, it's so cool. So cool. And then all the cameos they had, like, They had Toby, they had Andrew, and this one was by far my favorite. Donald Glover from Spider-Man Homecoming playing Uncle Aaron as the Prowler, like a live action standing next to an animated, and it worked. None of us were like taken out of it like, oh, look at it, that doesn't look right. It looked right, and like, oh, I couldn't believe that they had live action shit with fucking, you know, like, oh, I couldn't believe this. Like, this got a shock. Like, all of us were like, what? And then when the Spot goes to see Mrs. Chen in the friggin' Venom universe, like, what? So now, this movie alone tied in the Venom universe, like, the MCU, Tom Holland, like, the only Spider-Man we didn't see physically, but, you know, gets a mention, because at the beginning, Miguel O'Hara goes, Spider-Man 19999, talking about Doctor Strange and him, and, so, like, we don't see Tom Holland, but we see Toby, we see Andrew, and, like, the way that they did that, they pulled video from their movies of their moments where their Uncle Ben, or, not Gwen Stacy, but her father, Mr. Stacy, dies in the first movie, and it's like, you see his moment where, like, his Uncle Ben moment, his Uncle Aaron moment, his, you know, whatever. They all have what they call canon moments, which is from, like, What If, the animated show. It's like a absolute point, you know. So like, it's just funny that the terminology they use, it's all slightly different, but it's really all really close. Like, it's all real close. So it's like, this multiverse, man, like, I've never been more excited to see another multiverse movie. Like, Beyond the Spider-Verse next year is going to be insane, especially with the cliffhanger they leave it on. We'll talk about that more in a minute. You know, and honestly, I'm not doing the breakdown justice. You know, I just don't have the mental capacity or a team behind me. Just like, I saw it one time last night, and I just can't believe this movie. So you guys can get my raw reaction, really. It's so good. My review of the movie, the story, it's so beautiful. The animation. I really wish I got to see the first movie in theaters, because on the big screen with the music, like, I loved the soundtrack in the first one so much. Metro Boomin kills it with this one too. Like, oh, this second one sounds great. I don't know if it sounds better than the first one. Maybe just as good, but like, that Sunflower. Ooh, 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 ooh. You know, like that. It hit different in that first movie because it was the first movie, but this second one, man, all of a sudden Miles has to run away, break out, he's trying to do his own thing and be an anomaly, and I think it's just like Hobie Brown. Hobie Brown is Spider-Punk, and initially, I gotta say, when I first heard Hobie's name and what him and Gwen were, I was like, we didn't know that their relationship was, but I was like, damn, is Gwen cheating on Miles with Hobie? Just forgot about our boy Miles like that already? Goddamn, like, how is she gonna do him dirty like that? But then we meet Hobie, and you realize that Hobie's just a one-of-a-kind anomaly of a dude, where you're like, oh, I get it. Hobie's the man, and Hobie Brown is so cool, dude. So Hobie Brown kills it in every scene he's in, you know, like, he's like, talking, they're all talking to Miguel O'Hara, and he's like laying down in the corner. He's like, I don't even want to talk to you. No, I'm just gonna not even acknowledge that you're dead. He goes, I don't even know why you're talking to me at all, bro. You know, like, he's talking like he's full friggin' Canton, you know, like from, you know, London or whatever. Daniel Kakule, the guy that plays W'Kabi in Black Panther, and, you know, the guy from Nope, Get Out, all those Jordan Peele films. He kills it, and Hobie Brown is so cool, and Hobie, like, helps him with the, you know, use your palms, not just the fingers, use your whole hand. So he puts the palms on the thing, breaks out, goes on the run, this big chase happens, and Hobie doesn't get involved. Hobie's like, I quit, you know, drops his wristband and just goes through a portal and bounces, and, you know, then he's a big part in the end, because he goes to Gwen's universe. When she gets kicked out and sent back, he gets her, like, he had made her own wristband that's actually cooler than the ones that Miguel made. So, like, you know, it's got all the Spider-Punk kind of tricked out swag. And his character development, like, or not character development, character design, you know, just like, in the first movie, Miles moves on twos in animation style. This movie, like, he looks like he's, like, all jagged and moves extra, like, slow, but it's his style. Like, he's just his own thing, and it moves, like, to his own beat, and he's got this own, like, color design and shit. He looks so much different than any other character, but he is cool as shit. Spider-Punk is the man. I promise you guys will love that dude, but fucking Spot starts out as this innocent villain, and he ends up being this dark freaking dude. And I'm like shooketh by how cool and dark he looks. But then, you know, we'll fast forward a little bit. He goes on the chase. We see all the Peter Parkers and Spider people chasing him down, and there's so many. Apparently there's like 280 that they said that they created for this, but the ones I saw were like that were the most fun ones that I seen was like the PS4 Spider-Man and the Lego Universe Spider-Man, the Cat Spider, the T-Rex Spider, the Spider Monkey, the Popsicle, the horse with the cowboy spider. He's like an old Western, bang, you know, like and like cameos like Donald Glover's Prowler. Hobie, like as we see him, Hobie Brown walks up and goes, "Yeah, called him myself," and he's like, and Donald Glover quickly goes, "I slipped," and you're like, what? Like, so Hobie Brown animated Spider-Punk caught live action Prowler? How's it even possible? Like, I gotta see it. I gotta see it. I'm so excited. Toby and Andrew are in it. The old Spider-Man from 1964, as they're all like swinging this way, he comes in this way. He's like, "Come on, I gotcha!" And he just real slowly swings by everyone as they quickly go this way. And that got a huge laugh in the theater. Everyone was like, "Oh!" Like, look at him, he sucks. He's so slow. Like, finally, Miles breaks away from the chase down and shit, and he gets to where he needs to be, and he's like trying to get himself. He's using his invisible powers to trick the hologram girl, Spider-Bite, and she's like from another universe, but she's a Spider-Man that's using like hologram powers. She's kind of cool too. She could have rebooted the system so that Miles couldn't have gone back to whatever universe he was going to, and she clicks no, so she lets him escape pretty much, and he goes back to Earth 42. That's not his Earth. That's the Earth of the DNA that's in him from the spider. And that's key because we thought they were maybe lying about the spider being from a different universe. Now we know the spider was from a different universe, but now we go to that universe to see what it's like. So because that spider came to Miles' universe and made Miles Spider-Man, and he technically wasn't supposed to be Spider-Man, their Earth 42 universe doesn't have a Spider-Man. And maybe it would have been Miles in this universe, but instead there's no Spider-Man at all. There's never been a Spider-Man. And this Earth 42 is chaos. It's all crime-ridden, and it's bad. And Uncle Aaron's still alive. His dad died, the cop, Jeff. And Miles, not Aaron, Miles has braids, and he is the Prowler. And this is how it ends. And Miles Prowler with the braids is looking at him, kind of with the Spider-Man colors, but he's kind of purple, so it's like Prowler colors. And, you know, he's got the Prowler fist on the bag that he's tied up to, and Miles just has a finger with lightning on a chain, and that's where they left us. We're like, what? So Miles is with Miles and his uncle in a different universe, right? So there's two Mileses, one's Spider-Man, one's the Prowler. And then Gwen gets sent back to her home, where she gets kicked out of the Spider Gang, gets sent back to her home, but because Hobie's wristband, she is able to now go back and build her new band, as she says. So she grabs the OG movie people, Spider-Man Noir, Penny Parker, Peter Porker. We grab Spider-Bite, the hologram girl. We grab Hobie Brown, and we grab Peter Pakar, the Indian spider, Dopender from Deadpool. He kills it as that Indian Spider-Man too. He really does. It ends on a cliffhanger, but it also is like a complete story. And, you know, it successfully, well, it's really a part one of a part two. Like, but man, I cannot wait for this to come out and watch Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, Beyond the Spider-Verse, 1, 2, 3 in a row. Because I think seamlessly this movie will carry on through 3 movies and look and feel and have a complete story, look amazing in all 3 films, but also look different, right? Like, it didn't feel like Into the Spider-Verse in the sense that it was the same movie. It felt like the vibes of Into the Spider-Verse, but with an entire different movie, and it is so good. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys go see this movie and love it and enjoy it. Follow me on my other social medias. Big Cam YouTube on Twitter. Go follow my Letterboxd. Go see the review I left for this one. My initial reaction to it was pretty funny. I was just like typing away in the theater. I honestly don't even know what I said. But the link in my Letterboxd down below. Comically Boston on Instagram down below in the description. Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. And come on back for the next episode because it's going to be a good one, y'all. So I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Peace. Go see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Wear your merch. Shout out nerdriot.shop.